Thank you, everyone, and welcome. My name is Rachel, and I am the co founder and leader of the Brantford Food Forest. We have been a group for the last 7 years, and we have been in the ground in a public park for the last 5 years. This to the left here is our logo. Is a food forest? A food forest, also known as a forest garden, is like a woodland forest. It mimics it, but it's mostly food. We have a lot of pollinators in it, and um, certain types of plants that provide certain types of nutrients. For example, comfrey, while it is medicinal, it also is a great provider of nitrogen within the food forest, and it it all aligns together to do something called polyculture, where it works as a cohesive system. Most type of gardening would be considered like a monoculture, like in rows. Well, this is like more it's more blended. It looks a lot messier, but it's a cohesive like ecological system within itself. What I want to show you now is the maps of our I'll do that next. I just want to go into this is how a food forest lays out, just like it does in a woodland forest. You have the canopy. There was already trees in the park to start with, and they're the canopy. In our next section, we have some American chestnuts going in. It would be considered the canopy. And the lower fruit trees, we're doing the Ann Ralph method. It's more of like a lower gleaning type of fruit style. So the city has asked us not to bring ladders into the park. So we're doing a type of style of fruit trees that people can just pick what they need without bringing ladders into the park. So it's a shorter style, and the understory. We've planted so far 32 fruit trees. For the shrub and bush layer, we have planted over 100 of those. Those would be like our currants, our raspberries. We've got blackberry, haskaps, blueberries. For the next, we've got the herbaceous layer, and we have a wide variety of herbs and pollinators in the park. We've got a swag of tea, also known as bee balm. We've got lavender, thyme, multiple types of sage. Excuse me. A lot of our pollinators on that level are indigenous. We get them from Guyanaze on the indigenous reserve. We focus on native plants as it provides a higher number of pollinators, and it's better for the ecosystem. The next layer is the ground cover. An example of our ground cover, we have a lot of strawberry plants. We have native strawberry plants and um, bigger style type strawberries. We also have the rhizome type layer. An example of that would be like horseradish we have in there that actually we're going to be picking in the next couple weeks. November will be ready. And we don't have any vines yet, but that will be in the next section. When we have like a stage that's going in and lattices all around it, and it'll be a bunch of grapes and maybe some hardy kiwi. What I want to show you now is our map and our design for the food forest. And it will kind of give you a better idea of our bigger goals. So we are in the first part, in the first section, almost complete. We're just finishing the last corner. The teardrop in the center, we've planted everything in there. We've done the outside close to those big 3 dots at the top. That's where we are. Right now, we're just planting the last herbaceous ground cover layer in the outer part of the first section. When collaborating with the city, we divide it in 3 sections to like split up the work and decide how we're going to plant it. When we complete one fully, we can move on to the next section. So we should be able to move on to the next section by next spring. Is what we're thinking, to start planting some of those canopy plants. Canopy trees. As you can see, there's lattices in there. That is going to be a stage center and a lot more fruit bushes in the second area, and then there's the third section. By the time it's done, it's going to be an 1.5 acres, and it's going to be 111 fruit trees. The second part I'm going to show you is the first section of the herbaceous layer that we've been covering. We have a planner who designs the food for us. Her name is Jessica Robertson. She owns a company called Wildcraft Permaculture, and she has a business out of London. The original idea that we found out about Food Forest was actually the people who were involved. We went to an environmental conference in London at the library. They had a 3-day conference, and they had a class on Food Forest, and it piqued our interest. And originally, we were just going to ask the city to plant a couple fruit trees in a park, maybe build up to a mini orchard one day, but we didn't even know about Food Forest, and we heard of this great idea. So a couple months after we had started gathering, we decided that we were going to build a food forest. And we officially became, in December 2017, the Brantford Food Forest. And all these little dots are herbaceous and ground cover and pollinator plants. We have now planted over 2,500 plants. Right now we have most of we planted 4 fruit bushes and 34 new plants, but everything else to fill in the other side, we just have needed to propagate and spread and let it grow and take over. In this slide, you can see in the very first one where it was our first original tree planting. We planted 5 trees. The city allowed us to do it in small steps, and you can slowly see the growth. So originally, the whole area was just green grass. We started this method through permaculture called sheet mulching. It's also known as lasagna style permaculture. And what it is you use brown cardboard, straight compost, not topsoil or anything, just compost, and a brown layer, which would be like straw or dead leaves, and then wood mulch over top. And you let it sit for 6 months before you dig into it, so it starts breaking down, and the science behind it starts happening. And what we're doing is we're mimicking a forest floor to try and build up the nutrients and the litter, as they would call it. So another part with the food forest is something called chop and drop. So most of the material, unless it's a weed we don't want in there, and that's a nuisance, we would consider. But we don't weed for, say, dandelions. The main thing we weed for is bindweed, because it's a little bit of a takeover of a plant. But most of the stuff, we just leave it there. So as the leaves fall, as the wood, as the plants die, everything just breaks down within the forest and provides nutrients back to the cycle. We don't remove it. So as you can see through the stages, this one in the right bottom corner, it goes from left to right. The one in the right bottom corner, this is the beginning of August this year. That wood area is the area that I was talking about on the outside that we're propagating literally right now. We're doing it tonight, 4 to 6, if anyone wants to join. We've been doing it the last 2 weeks, propagating and filling that area. So actually right now, this area right in front of here is done. We're on the other side propagating, and hopefully we can finish it up this week. Volunteers are the cornerstone of the food forest, and they are awesome, and we really appreciate them. The food forest literally cannot function without volunteers. We've had so much success because of the volunteers and because of people caring and wanting to see the food forest grow. We have some volunteers that have literally been with us since the first year, and some volunteers that we are like an ebb flow, but we appreciate all help that we can get. And it's really made the food forest grow a lot quicker than I thought it would grow. To be honest, like I didn't think 5 years ago that we'd have so much done, and I'm really proud of us for getting it so large. If you ever go down there, you'll see how much we actually grow in person, and it's been a lot of work because sheet mulching takes a lot of tedious work. You have to take all the staples out and the tape out off the cardboard and organize it in a way that's layered like a jigsaw puzzle, so the grass can't maneuver to get through it because we're trying to kill off the grass and get the grass to break down and be part of the nutrient cycle. It's the green in it in the sheep mulching layering, so it's essential. But we don't want it to get through the layers because in the beginning we had some trouble with that and we didn't realize we had to do it so tight. So you really have to do it like a jigsaw puzzle so it has time to break down and kills everything off. Um, Next one. We are involved in community stuff and we've ran programs and done other sorts of collaborations. We did some classes and stuff to reach out the community, utilize some of our supplies with Belonging Brand. We've ran some of our own programs. Sorry, we've had, for example, a garden tea party. We had a herbal workshop at the library. We had a herbal expert come and do a dialogue. And last November, we did a collaboration with the city, and we had at the library, and the designer of the food forest came in and explained food forest to everyone. It was a really good event. I think it was our largest crowd yet. We had 52 people. But it was really awesome when the city was backing us because there was lots of advertising going on, and sometimes I find people don't really know about us, but it was really great to see a good crowd and prove to the city that a lot of people are actually interested in this project and want to see it grow. We do a lot of the neighborhood association, um, holiday events, or when they have stuff just to reach out to the community. So, as Sarah was saying, we're at the um, volunteer event for Laurier. We try to get the word out as best we possible, and we try to do things to engage with the community and to get them to engage with the food forest and the things that we have there. Because a lot of people wouldn't realize like a lot of the benefits for a lot of the food that we have there, especially if you're new to it. I can't say that I would necessarily have known everything. I've learned a lot of the stuff in as I've gone, and I've gained a ton of knowledge about herbs, and I literally use way more than I used 5 years ago on my everyday stuff. Okay. Please join us on social media, and if you guys have any questions, don't be shy because I know a lot of knowledge about the food forest.